Now before we start, I think I'll probably owe you an apology. When it comes to YouTubers and photography, a lot of YouTubers talk about gear all the time, and I'm totally one of those people. When it comes to taking nice pictures, as we know, it's not the gear that matters. It's one, I guess, what you do with it, but secondly, and more importantly, of course, it's light. If you're new here, hi, I'm Matt Osborne, a Leica photographer and model photographer based in the UK. I'm often asked to teach workshops where people ask, Matt, show us how you light your portraits. And so in this video, I'm going to give you an insight into how I do just that. If you've ever seen my Patreon, I share videos that show behind the scenes of me working with the models and using different lighting situations to try to help people light their own portraits. And this video is going to be similar to that. I'm going to show you 3 different photo shoots, and for each model I'll show you how I'm lighting the model. Now, to make it more repeatable so you can try this at home, if you like the style of lighting that I do, I'm going to use the same light unit for all photos taken in this video. Colbor sent to me their new LED light, and so I'm going to use that light in different situations to hopefully inspire you in terms of what is possible with one small light. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to join Patreon. As I say, there's 100 more of these videos ready for you to binge watch. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. Okay, so 3 photo shoots coming up, and I'll also share a little bit more information about this light if you're trying to get one or something similar yourself. Okay, so for the first photos, this was a Patreon meetup in London, and we had the lovely Roseanne with us, and I was using the Cobo W100.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So
that's really nice.
I do that too wide. It's nice actually.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. Because now you have this crazy nice overhead light to see most cheekbones. That's cool. Love it.
Now I'm sure you know this already, but if ever you want a softer light source, just bounce a small light source off a big white area in this example. So I set the light up on the stand, bouncing off the white kind of overhead pillar thing, and then that casts a very soft overhead light back down. You see the really nice defined jawline that Roseanne had in those images. It's quite funny. As we were working in the Barbican, this is in London, this guy came past and he knew me from YouTube, and he had his M6 with him. So he was like, yeah, get involved. So I asked him to stand there, and I said, I'll take his picture. Available light is really nice off to the right, but it means the models need to look off to the right all the time. So having this bouncing off overhead, he can now look forward to camera, and there's the results. So soft light, it looks pretty much like daylight. The flare is from the lens, not the light. And here's the example with light and without light. Okay, time to get on to the next location. Before we do, if you'd love to get into model photography but don't know where to start, look out for my new model photography full A to Z guide coming very soon. This book has been over 3 years in the making and shares over a decade of experience. Get the free ebook in the link below, and I'll notify you as soon as the full book is available. Okay, back to the video. So for the next setup, I wanted to emulate the look of sun coming through the trees, and so I used the little reflector head attached to the unit, and then had it as a rim light on the back of Roseanne's head, as you can see from the hairlight there. Using lights in bare ball mode, as I call it, gives a harsher look, and so it's more similar to light from the sun. So for these next, you can see I've now got the diffuser on, and so it gives a softer light, and it's more like a fill light from the angle that we were photographing at. The kind of diffuser dome just clips on the end of the little reflector and works really well, and then it reverses for travel. Here's a few example photos. You can see it's very subtle from that angle, but it gives a bit of fill from the angle the other guys were shooting from, which you can see with Toby there. One feature I love about this light is the fact that I can attach a Colbor kind of folding mini softbox. This kind of pops up when I know what to do and pull the right bit, and so it folds easy into your bag, and then it kind of gets ready for action really easy by just pulling out those 2 clips. You need to make sure the wires are all lined up correctly behind to give it a circular look. And as you can see, you've got a grid and a diffuser, as you can see there. So use the grid for more directional light, especially indoors, to reduce light spill, which is a huge problem when you use like generic light panels. And then when you're finished, it will fold down flat again to go in your bag. There's like a button on each side, as you can see there. One of the biggest problems with standard softboxes is they're just too big to carry. The fact that this fits into my 18 litre Wotan craft bag, link below to that bag if you like the look of it, It means I can now fly with that to, say, Poland for my photo shoots. Okay, another day, another workshop, this time with Amy. So let me first show you the battery. So the W100 Colbor light comes with this battery pack, which screws onto the top of the light stand with that thread on the bottom. And then you attach the light to the top of the grip. So I say grip because the battery also doubles as a nice hand grip if you've got an assistant that can hold the light for you. It's also got a battery indicator, as you can see here. Colbor recommend using their high capacity battery pack, but you can run this light from a USB-C power pack too, say in emergencies. Okay, here's Amy for another workshop. There you can see the difference between light and no light, and this is me using it head on, as you can see directly at the model. I'm adjusting the power on the top right hand side. The Cobo W100 has got a built-in fan unit to stop it overheating, and it's super quiet. I use this light to light some of my YouTube videos, and I don't have any problems with hearing the fan in the audio. As is often the case in London, this was an overcast day, and so the LED just provides some nice directional light to give very pleasing skin tones, that kind of sharper jawline, and just an overall maybe fashion look to the images, because you put the light where you want it rather than having to ask the model to have a chin up all the time to get the best angle of light from the overhead sun, for example. I do tag all my models on Instagram, so to find the models, just follow me on Instagram at mrleica.com, and you'll see Amy and lots of others that I work with. Here you can see another setup, and this time I've got the light closer, and I'm doing more like headshots, and just look at the quality of light on the skin. It's just amazing when you get it in close. Here now with the diffuser dome to give a slightly softer look. Now the dome off again to give a fake sun look. You can see it really gives a nice fashion light, as you can see there, and it's such a small unit. Okay, next let's look at an indoor photo shoot with the lovely Basia. So here you can see back of camera view of how it looked through the Leica SL, and then you can see my setup. So out of frame are the additional LEDs, and then I tried to make it look like the light's coming from the main light. For these photos I'm using the mains power. So in addition to the batteries, you can obviously run it off the DC mains. So all of these photos are running it off the mains during this Leica workshop. This photographer flew into London to meet me, and we hired out the studio for the day, booked Basia, and then we're both shooting digital and film cameras. Here's my light setup. So I'm using both the Cobo W100 and the bowling as kind of a little kicker light on the other side. You'll see in a second. And then a small kind of tip that I love to do, it might inspire you. I get very bored by flat lighting, so normally if I'm using softboxes I often open up one edge to give like a bit of hard light coming through the gap. So you just saw in that one photo there's a bit more bright light on part of the face, as you just saw. If I back up you'll see the full setup. So there's the studio, and I'm concentrated around a little mirror off to one side, which I'm sure wasn't designed to be used for photo shoots. There you can see the bowling on one side giving like an edge light, and then the main W100 on the far side. This is the final result of how it looks in camera. There's my students' photos. For my images, it's just all like SL digital images, and then I just applied my Mr. Leica black and white presets. I can put a link below if you're new here and want some other presets. As I do with my Patreon model photography videos, I'll try and show you a few more of the behind the scenes clips, just to give you an idea of my inspiration and how I was lighting it. So I grabbed a book off the shelf and gave it to Basia and said, pretend to read this or read this book. And then I have the LED lights out of frame, so it looks like all the lights coming from the practical light, which is in the frame, like in the photo. And then there's the student in action, and then we then just use different angles to try to create something nice. Again, I don't think the sofa was designed for the photos. I'm sure most people use the white background, but I'm not very good with white backgrounds. These photos were shot with the Nikon 135mm, so you get some nice compression. I have done a video on 135mm lenses if you missed that, so you may recognise some of these photos from that video. Another setup, I asked to sit in the kitchen, and these are the photos. I was pretty happy with the results, but let me know what you think in the comments. One of the biggest strengths of the Cobo W100 LED is the size. This light is tiny. Now here you can see it next to a iPhone 11 and a standard kind of LED light panel, and you can see it's reasonably similar, but you need to be aware that the Colbor doesn't work without the battery pack, so you've got to carry both the light and the battery pack, where with standard LED light panels the battery is included, so that gives you like a true pocketable setup. Okay, power. So one of the biggest limitations with LED lights is the lack of power, but this has got 100 watts capacity, and so for that reason, especially when you add a modifier which concentrates the beam even further, it's seriously bright compared to a standard LED light panel which you see on the right, which is my bowling. As you can see, they're similar size without any modifiers attached, but this is called a COB light, which is like a one single massive LED. I think that's what it is. And then you've got 4 power outputs using the button on the top, 25%, 50%, 75 and 100. And then you can use a little dial on the top right to dial in like 1% increments. If I back up, there's a power difference with both lights on full power without a modifier attached. Obviously, if you want more power from the W100, you add the reflector or the softbox, and then you take off the grid and the diffuser for maximum output. Now this light is also bi-color, so that's quite useful if you shoot color. I shoot black and white, so it's not a huge advantage. And they also do a RGB version. Look at I think it's called a W100R, similar to the bowling BLP1, which you're seeing in this video. Okay, so what is the verdict? Light matters. As you probably guessed, if you're new to portraits or just getting into portraits, definitely download my free ebook, and the full ebook is coming. That'll help you with all other aspects of photography, the full A to Z guide. As for the Colbor W100, can I recommend it? Absolutely yes. I love the fact that I can run it off mains power, battery power and USB-C battery packs. I love the fact that the unit itself is similar size to my existing bowling BLP1, but you do need to be aware that you then need to carry a separate battery pack or the separate mains power cable. So it is going to be bigger than a super compact all-in-one LED unit, but the power output is so much better, and the fact that you can attach soft boxes and reflectors, diffusers, it means you can use the light much easier. Light is light, and it's how you shape the light which is important to creating your final images. I love that aspect, and that's a big advantage of using this sort of Colbor W100 light compared to the generic LED light panels which you find on Amazon. Hope you enjoyed this video. As mentioned, if you are trying to get better at your portrait lighting, feel free to check out my Patreon videos, link below. And as always, a huge thanks to my usual sponsor, my amazing patrons. Check out this video for more lighting tips.